Okay, we're looking at situation 3. Once again, seeking understanding, not completion. Cassie has decided to attend Northlake Community College for her first 2 years of college. She is planning on living at home with her parents, so she will not need to worry about room and board. Below is the cost for 1 semester at Northlake Community College. So it's 2 years of college she wants to spend there. And this is the cost for 1 semester. So if you think about our semester exams, we have 2 semesters per year. So all of these values in the table aren't the values we're really going to use to figure out total cost, because these are just per semester. Okay, so A says if Cassie's parents have saved $3,000, how, typo, I know, how much will she still need to cover the cost of the first 2 years of school? So it's the first 2 years of school. So we're going to figure out our cost and then subtract our savings. So still we're using that general form of gap equals cost minus savings, or money that you have. But for this one, we're kind of doing the other piece. We're figuring out the cost. We know how much we get to subtract. It's that $3,000 is our savings. But we need to figure out how much those 2 years at school are going to cost. So we're going to type in the values we know. We're going to plug those in. So because it's 2 semesters per year, and we have 2 years that we're calculating here for, that would be 4 semesters. Yep, 2 years, so 2 semesters per year, 4 semesters. Hoping we're good there. If that's a confusion, put a question mark next to this problem. We can go over it on Monday. So I'm going to again make this a little bit more specific before we start typing in and plugging in those variables. So it's 4 times the tuition plus 4 times the books, because you're going to need all of that for college. You can't just be like, I won't get books. Oh well. You're going to need to spend some money, and that's a general estimate. And then we would subtract our savings, which we know already is $3,000. Now let's plug in our variables. So 4 times 885 plus 4 times 1,000 minus 3,000. And when you type that into your calculator, you figure out that our gap, or the amount that is still needed to cover the cost of the first 2 years, would be $4,540. Okay, now let's look at part B. After graduating high school, Cassie gets a part-time job at the mall. Now stick with me, it's about to be a lot of information. She earns $10.25 an hour. She will work an average of 20 hours a week, and she gets paid weekly. She will keep $50 out of each paycheck for her personal expenses, and the rest she will put into savings. How many weeks will it take for her to save enough to pay for the remainder of her 2 years at Northlake? So, there's a lot of information. Let's break it down. It's $10.25 an hour. She will work an average of 20 hours a week, and she gets paid weekly. So if we want to figure out how much she's paid each week, we could do 10.25 times 20, because that's her average number of hours. And she gets paid weekly, so that's how much money she would get in her paycheck. But she's also keeping 50, so she's putting that in her checkings account. She's not saving that amount. So instead of just leaving this multiplied and using our total to figure out how many weeks, we have to subtract that $50 that she takes out. Okay? And then we're going to figure out, well, okay, if that's how much she's putting into savings, however much she makes earning $10.25 for 20 hours minus that 50 per week. Okay, so that W stands for our number of weeks that we don't know. And that needs to equal our gap. We're trying to figure out how long it will take her to save enough money to pay for the remainder, which was our gap amount from part A. So let's plug these in and solve. So I'm going to have $4,540 as our gap equals a number of weeks times $10.25 an hour for 20 hours minus the $50 for her to spend. When I multiply and then subtract this chunk in my calculator, I get 155. So that's how much she is saving from each paycheck each week. So I have 155 per week equals 4,540. So if we want to figure out how many weeks, which we do, we would do our skill of solving equations, do our inverse operation here, and when we do that, we get a decimal, but remember she gets paid weekly, so it would take 30 weeks for her to save up enough to pay for her 2 years at Northlake Community College. All right. That is the end of our notes. Please make sure you have all the information written down. And I want you to go through these different situations, and we'll talk more about it on Monday. But looking at situation 1 at Texas Tech, looking at situation 2 at a state university, and then looking at situation 3 where it's a community college, I want you to look through these gaps. So look at our different gap amounts for the total. So for 2 years, our gap's only 4,540 compared to Angelo State, compared to Texas Tech. And I want you to look at just the cost. Just think about those different aspects. I'm not saying one is better. I'm not saying this is what you should do, but I just want you to think through those processes. Remember, this whole unit is about you just getting your mind thinking about these options and generalizing a plan. I'm not saying you have to have it figured out. So I want you to look at the gaps, and then the other thing I want you to start thinking about. On Monday, after we review these notes, we are going to start a project. And that project is going to have you estimate college cost for a college of your choice, a university or a college of your choice. So you are not allowed to have any repeating colleges. So I want you to think about maybe 5 colleges or universities that you would want to research and look into estimating cost for. So it could be somewhere you want to go, somewhere a family member is going. You just heard about it, you think it's a funny college name. But make a list of 5 colleges so you're prepared to start that project on Monday. It's going to be a lot of this, figuring out tuition, and then looking into some fun facts about the university and decorating things. So it's gonna really be you researching future financial situations. So please make sure your notes are complete. Please be good for the sub, and I will see you on Monday. Bye, guys.